People, we are Tottenham TV, back here for the match review stream. Tottenham beat Man City by 2-1 in the Carabao Cup. Safe passage into the quarterfinals, where we're going to face another Manchester club in Manchester United. Might be fearing the new manager bounce in that moment in time, but look, it's not time to talk about that tie against Manchester United. It's time to talk about the glorious night at the Tottenham Stadium last night, and look, it really was. It was great. It was great to be there. Evening. It was a lovely evening. Atmosphere was top notch as well. Fans were in full voice. The team were purring last night, and you know, everyone talks about, oh, it was a weak Man City side, this, that. I mean, how many Premier League winners and Champions League winners did they have in their team last night? They had a back four, which was, you know, on any given day can play in the Premier League. They had Phil Foden, who got Premier League Player of the Year last year. They had Matthias Nunes, who's starting week in, week out for them at the moment. I mean, apart from the two kids that they had in the middle of the park, it was a really strong team from City, wasn't it?
I mean, I don't know if it's true, but I think I read that we had a younger average age of, the team. So I think that goes to show the experience that was there in both sides. As you say, McAtee and O'Reilly were there. First of all, McAtee is not a youngster as much as he's not a regular for Man City. I think he's 22 years of age.
Is he 22?
Yeah. He played a whole season last season in the Premier League for Sheffield United. He's got quite a bit of Premier League experience.
So obviously, he's older than Sarr and Gray.
And Udogie. Yeah, and maybe similar age to Brennan, or maybe a bit older than Brennan. But so it wasn't exactly an inexperienced team. As you say, the back five, all players who have played regularly in the Premier League at points, and obviously Diaz even came into the side after Kanji apparently pulled up in the warm-up, I read. Savinho's been brilliant all season. Gundogan is, everyone knows Ilkay Gundogan is, and Nunes. So the only real player who was a real youngster was Nico O'Reilly, and we had Archie Gray at right back, who was an 18-year-old. Mm-hmm. So I think when it comes to, obviously you probably say when it comes to proper first choice 11s, we probably had more of our first choice 11s than they did. But I think when you're looking on the two sides, I don't think you look at that thinking, wow, we should be batting that City team. Like, that's a very experienced team that they've probably won games playing a similar lineup many times. And I know they didn't have Haaland, but how many times previously has Phil Foden played that role and done really well? And also they've, as I said before the game, they've won titles playing with a false nine, like for a whole season. So this is nothing new to them. It's
true, but on the flip side of that, did it tell you maybe where their ambitions lie when they've got Haaland sitting on the bench, and for the last 15, 20 minutes they bring on Wright, they bring on Poussey at centre-back instead of bringing on a Haaland to really push that issue?
Maybe. And he said after the game, Pep, that the plan for this one was not to play Haaland. I don't know how much. I don't know if they were not going to play him at 2-1 down, with a few minutes to go. I don't know when you were going to play him, so I don't know why they put him on the bench at all then, if that was the case. But yeah, maybe it shows it's not their absolute priority. But we have big players like Porro was on the bench. Maddison didn't play at all for 90 minutes as well. So we also had a few big players who didn't play for us as well. So I think I wouldn't say like the teams were even. Maybe our team was slightly stronger, but I'm actually looking at it here now. Average age of the City team, 26 years of age. Average age of Spurs, 24.8. So we had a younger team out there than the Man City, probably more inexperienced than Man City's team. So I don't think like we played Man City C team is my point.
No, definitely not. And people, I'm hearing like a narrative to beat Spurs fans with like, how you celebrating so hard? All you did was beat a Man City C team. I mean, how can a Man City C team have John Stones, Ruben Diaz, Nathan Ake, Phil Foden, Savinho, Gundogan, Rico Lewis? You know what I mean? That's not a C team.
Exactly. And maybe you could argue City have had a lot of injuries anyway, so that made their squad a bit weaker. But, who they bring off the bench? People like Bernardo Silva came off the bench.
Kovacic and Gvardiol came on at half-time.
came on at half-time. Big players for them. So this was a very, very strong City team, in my opinion. I don't think it was a slightly weaker team, but it wasn't like this like really weak team that like most teams would have beaten.
it's a team that you play in a cup competition when you want to make changes, and I think
Yeah.
that, and especially with the injuries that they do have, you know, they've got a lot of players out at the moment.
And to be fair, we made 6 changes from the weekend, I think, or 5 changes
Yeah.
from the game against Palace.
Yeah.
So it's not like we didn't make changes. It wasn't our. You can say it was a stronger team, but it wasn't exactly like our proper first choice 11. As I said, 5 changes. Maybe that goes to show how strong our squad is.
Yeah,
Potentially.
because Timo comes in, Pape comes in, Rodrigo comes in, Archie Gray and Dragoshin all come in to the starting lineup who weren't there on against Palace. So
I guess you could even, if you go through the lineups, who was actually missing more first team? Because we had Son missing, we had Porro missing. You know, you could say Basuma's potentially there, Maddison as well. Udogie didn't start, although he came on after 10 minutes, but he didn't start. So that's like 5 players who would automatically be in our first choice 11.
yeah,
Who's missing for City? You got Haaland, obviously De Bruyne is out.
but De Bruyne's been injured.
De Bruyne has been injured. Like that back 4 could have been a back 4 in a Premier League game very easily.
Easily.
Like,
Well, if I look at their starting 11 from the Southampton game, they had Lewis and Ruben Diaz starting the game, Akanji and Gvardiol, Kovacic, Savinho, Foden, Bernardo Silva, Nunes and Haaland. So in terms of the starting 11, Nunes, Foden, Savinho, Diaz, Rico Lewis. So 5 players starting.
so it's pretty similar.
Yeah.
So I think it was a very well fought victory, really big victory in the context of our season as well, after the really bad defeat against Palace on the weekend. We needed to bounce back, and I think everyone, when the lineup came out, was breathed a bit of a sigh of relief that it was actually quite a strong lineup on our case. I think although when the lineups also came out for City, you're like, did Pep lie in the pre-match, you know?
But I didn't know how much weaker he could have gone, really, though, with the injuries that he has in the squad.
Yeah, I mean, look, they did bring on people like Jacob Wright, Jamar Simpson-Pusey, Alpha. They had some guy called Farid Alpha.
But I didn't think he wanted to completely disrespect the game and disrespect the tournament. You know what I mean? Like, as much as like putting out a team that you think can do the business without like completely disrespecting it, that's probably as weak as he could have gone.
I guess, and it's still a bloody strong team.
Yeah.
So, I think when the lineups came out, I think you probably look at it thinking we fancy our chances, but also that is a strong City team. We can't take it for granted at all.
You know, I just had a feeling all the week coming into it and coming to the stadium and being there. I just felt like it was written on the cards for us to win yesterday. I had no like nerves or anything like that saying like, oh, we're going to lose this game. Like I really thought we were coming into this. We were favourites with the bookies for some reason, maybe because they thought Man City were going to go really weak. But I really thought we were going to win the game, and I think we played such a good game of football yesterday. I mean, there was 20-minute period in the second half, towards the end of the second half, where you look, Man City were dominating us. They were creating chances. They had that chance with Foden on the volley. First half, sorry.
Yeah.
When he had a chance with Foden, where look, he should have put that in the back of the net. But apart from that period, I felt like we were fairly comfortable throughout.
It was a different. We actually adjusted our game quite a bit, you know. It was a bit of an ugly win in a way, because I know we played some great football, and if you look at the first goal, brilliant build-up. I know people call it a counter-attack, but it actually comes from our build-up. Very similar. It's actually similar to like some of the goals we scored under Conte in terms of drawing on the opposition, then some really good build-up, and then hitting them in behind.
Wasn't it like, how many players touched the ball in that build-up? Because I know Dragoshin, Romero both had touch on the ball. That lovely back heel from Brennan Johnson.
Yeah, because
Romero
Romero played it to Gray. Gray plays it down the line
well
to Brennan, who flicks it into Decky, and then Decky's away down that right-hand side, and he played a beautiful ball.
That ball from Brennan down the line to Decky
flick.
was brilliant.
Yeah, really instinctive flick. He's tried that a few times, and sometimes it hasn't come off, but it definitely came off yesterday, playing through that City press really effectively, because Ake is coming towards Brennan, and he's about to get close to him, and he just does this flick behind him beautifully right into Decky's path. Decky's then away down that right-hand side, and that's the beauty of having Decky in that role, because when he gets in those positions, because he's played right winger so much in his career, he's kind of comfortable in those positions as well, as much as we know how great he is in the centre.
Pinpoint ball, wasn't it?
Yeah, on his right foot as well, which is obviously his weaker foot, right into Timo's path, and then there was a big breathing when you see Timo running into it, like, oh my God, is he going to screw up another chance, or is this going to be his moment? And to be fair, he takes it confidently. Takes it with an intercept, a lot of power, confidently past the keeper. Also right in the corner, but it was enough power and whip just to beat Ortega, and it was a really confident finish. And what was that, inside the first 10 minutes, and it was a brilliant start. And so you saw how happy the players were for him getting that goal. You saw how the crowd reacted. He was said in an interview after the game, he was so, how the crowd reacted to that goal gave him just so much happiness. So look, hopefully he can start getting a bit more confidence after that goal. But yeah, brilliant start to the game for him and a brilliant finish. And that's a finish that maybe in a few weeks ago, or the last few games, he's been kind of meekly giving it straight to the keeper in those kind of areas. But this one was confident, and this one had a lot of power on it, and that was positive.
Let's be real. He did give the keeper a couple of ones of classic Timo finishing, but it was an instinctive finish, and that's what you want from Timo. You don't want him to have too much time to think about where he's going to put it, or for it to play on his mind a little bit. You just want Timo there, snapshot, bang, in the back of the net, and he's got that in his locker. But you saw during the game, when he's got too much time to think about it, it just goes a bit wrong for him. I mean, there was that one where he goes through on goal, and I had no kind of hope he was going to finish it, and it was just wide.
Watching it back, he connected really well.
He did connect it really well, but it didn't hit the target.
It didn't hit the target. It was a whisk wide, but actually I thought the chance was a lot more difficult than we gave it credit for in the stadium.
But you know what? To be fair to Timo, because we give him a lot of stick, the fan base and us here on our channel, but I thought he was a constant threat when he was on that pitch. Until he got taken off. I don't know if it was fatigue or injury. I mean, Ange says it was fatigue. To me, it looked a bit more than fatigue on the pitch, but he was a constant threat throughout. And when you're talking about the front three, he was the biggest threat out of all three, in my opinion.
And credit to Timo, because whatever we want to say about him, yes, he misses a lot of easy chances, but he keeps getting in there. He keeps getting them, and that's something that you can't discount. As much as we're frustrated a lot of the time with what he does when he gets those chances, he doesn't hide, does he? He keeps getting in those positions, and that's a skill in itself to keep, it's not easy to keep making the timing of the runs and keep getting in those positions. And as much as it's frustrating that he misses them, if you get in there enough times, something's going to come off you eventually. And you got to praise him, because he does keep getting in those really dangerous positions, and he keeps being found. And it's not a coincidence that a lot of our chances fall to him.
It's true, and yeah, he does need to get credit for that. But ultimately, it means nothing if he's not getting any assists or goals at the end of them. It just causes a massive source of frustration. But yesterday was different, because yesterday he put it in the back of the net, so he's got to get massive credit for it.
I mean, yeah, obviously it means little when you're missing those chances, but I'd much rather a player getting those chances and getting in those positions, because it makes the opposition think. If you've got a player just being anonymous and not getting in those positions and being kind of contained easily, then it's a lot easier for the opposition to get on top of you. But when you've got a threat in behind like Werner, who keeps the opposition guessing, even if he's missing the chances, it does change the dynamic of the game a bit more for the opposition. Maybe they drop a little deeper and it changes it, and they have to adjust to it because they've got a player getting those chances. So I think it does make a bit of a difference.
The second goal, again, absolutely brilliant. Short corner routine. Decky plays it to Pape on the edge of the box. What a strike from Pape Matar yesterday. Oh my days. Every time you watch it, it just seems to get better and better and better. The curl and the swerve on that shot just goes all the way. It looks like it's going wide, and then it just dips into the bottom corner. No keeper is saving that.
Yeah.
That is such a strike of the highest degree, and I thought Pape was brilliant in the first half. I think it was the right decision to take him off, because he could have definitely got himself sent off. I think he was probably on his last warning at half-time. But Pape, we keep saying it, he's growing into this season in a really big way, and I think it's really hard to ignore him in the starting 11 now.
Yeah, at the moment, he's really contributing in the final third. Obviously, it was a brilliant strike, and it's not often he scores goals from that kind of range, but I do think he's got an underrated shot on him, and I think maybe he should be shooting a bit more from that range, albeit there are sometimes he shoots too much. But I think in general, I think he's actually got quite decent shot technique, and he actually, the way he passed it was probably a good 25, 30 yards out, passed it with the instep so confidently, and it comes from a short corner routine, which actually, interestingly, just before that, we had a routine which fell to Decky on the edge of the box, who ballooned it over the bar. Quite similar to the one that Bournemouth had against Arsenal. We kind of manoeuvred it so Decky had a shot on the edge of the area. And this time we went to Pape, And this time it was a brilliant strike, and I think Ortega must have seen it late because it is right in the corner, but he does kind of get down quite late. I felt to it. Maybe he could have reacted to it quicker, but he just bends it around the whole City back line unsighted, and it was such an accurate shot from Papo with so much power. And it was an excellent strike. And yeah, he's in great form, and it was a brilliant way to go 2-0 up. And we needed that because after that goal, City then started, dominating a bit in that that goal.
They did. They definitely stepped it up. They were piling on us. We were dropping deeper and deeper and deeper. And they get their goal right at the end of the half, which was, again, poor defending from Spurs. I mean, Spurs players dragged out position, but I'm looking at that goal and I'm thinking, what the hell is Brennan Johnson doing? Because there's a man, Nunes, at the back post, and Brennan Johnson's kind of creeping in. It looked like he was about to follow Nunes, but then he kind of like tucks inside. I don't know what he's doing, really.
Yeah, I'm watching that goal back. I thought initially, because Gray tucks in, so you're thinking Nunes is there free at the back post, like, where's Gray? But Gray's tucking in, I think, to Phil Foden in the centre. And I'm thinking, then I was like, okay, so why does he have to tuck in? Where's Romero? And looks like Romero's not watching, he's kind of ball watching again, Romero. But then I saw another angle, and actually there was a player in front of him, not directly in front of him, but like to his right, who he was looking at, who was going to be free if the ball placed to him. So Romero's on him. Gray's then tucked in, I think, to make Foden, and that leaves Nunes completely free. Yeah, Brennan Johnson switched off. It should be his man, but should our left winger be marking the opposition's left winger in the box? So yes, at times it has to happen, like yesterday, but it's a constant problem. And if you're relying on our winger to be a defender in the box, I understand if it was their fullback there, that's Brennan's man, but if it's their left winger, why does it keep happening that they've got a man free, and a lot of the time it's the opposition winger in the box, and the fullback is forced to tuck in? And if you're relying on our winger to be a defender in the box, then you're going to concede goals.
Yeah, look, that's completely spot on, but in that moment in time, Brennan should sense the danger where Nunes is clearly there, Brennan's coming back to defend, but I don't understand why Brennan, instead of going to the back post to Nunes where he's completely free, where Romero and Gray are picking up two other players, why is he going into that central area and not just drifting out wide?
Yeah, he switched off, and he wasn't taking... Look, if it was his responsibility, then he wasn't picking up, especially with a minute to go, or 30 seconds to go till the break. You just make the run, you dig in for the team, and you get a clean sheet going to half-time, and all of that changes the dynamic of the game, because they got a goal back, and all of a sudden their momentum can shift. Luckily it didn't, but Brennan, very disappointing that he let his man go, and Nunes obviously got the goal. But as we say, it's a constant problem, that back post, and that was pretty much the same goal we conceded. It's a goal or chance we've conceded many times under Ange in his tenure. It's a goal that in our last home game against West Ham, pretty much a carbon copy, down the right, couldn't stop the cross coming in, and that time it was Kudus, and this time it was Nunes. And it seems something that, I don't know if it's just something we're going to have to put up with, and sometimes players are just going to have a chance at the back post, or is it something that Ange is looking to rectify? Because at the moment it's been a problem pretty much ever since he took charge, and it doesn't seem like we're any closer to rectifying that issue.
Yeah, but look, I think that there has been problems where it didn't look like Ange was looking to rectify issues before, where there'd be the fullbacks completely non-stop inverting and not showing any flexibility, whether it would be defending set pieces. And Ange just kind of like just brushed those things off in press conferences and interviews and stuff like that, but they have been rectified. So I believe that Ange will look to rectify it. It just hasn't been at the moment. So, look, I think for what you want to say, we defended really well yesterday for the most part.
We did. And as you say, so Van der Ven goes off after 10 minutes, which very frustrating with that hamstring.
Well, I don't understand with this Van der Ven thing. Why the hell did he play the game? Like, there was a video clip of him coming out before the game for training. It looked like he's walking gingerly. He's touching his hamstring. And then 15 minutes into the game, he goes off with a hamstring. I'm like, how mad can it be?
Yeah,
surely someone had to look at that, see that.
I don't know whether he didn't make it known, because obviously it came out. It was the video was out in the warm up, and it could be just one of the things he's feeling it, but he definitely did touch his hamstring when he's coming out for the warm up, and maybe that's because he felt something. Or what if? Look, for me, Van de Ven should be smart enough to know that he's had hamstring problems before, and we've seen it with before players. Akanji, literally in this game, felt something in the warm and just said, you know what, I think it's too risky for me to play, and they put in Diaz. And Van de Ven should have made it known if he did feel something before the warm up. Look, I'm feeling something here. I think I shouldn't risk it. Unfortunately, we didn't. Then he actually had a good start to the game, and then that was a big challenge on Savinho 10 minutes in, and that was the end for him. He does a really good sliding challenge on the touchline, and I remember we were looking at it. He felt it, and he was like trying to see if he can like run it off, and then after like a minute, he was like, no, you know what? I felt something. I need to go down. I'll say even before, just sit down, Van der, and get him off because we don't want to risk it. And then he did that. Very frustrating. And also, not only is it a problem for him, but also it's now becoming a problem for Udogie because he's pretty much playing every game at the moment because we didn't sign a backup left back in the summer. We've left ourselves short.
Well, we got Spence. It's just unfortunate that he's injured.
Yeah, I guess, but he's not an actual left back anyway. But he is injured, and he's our backup left back. But obviously, at the moment, how many times has Udogie had to come on in the first 10 minutes in this season?
That's the second time, wasn't it?
Karabag, he came on. This time he came on. I think in another game. Did he not come on in another game? Anyway, he's having to play a lot of football at the moment, and I'm just worried about overdoing him because we know. I think last season we overplayed him way too much,
and we got a lot more games this season.
And we overplayed him a lot last season. He was starting to really suffer for it late in the season. Got an injury, and his season ended a couple months early. And you could always also see. About a month before that injury came, his performances weren't the same because we were relying on him too much. So I just hope we find a solution to that. Tim Anton says Reguilon is there. I mean, maybe we have to go to him because at the moment we're relying very heavily on Udogie, and that's a bit of an issue. But so Van de Ven obviously went off, which was frustrating. Udogie then comes on, who had a fine game, albeit didn't stop Savinho for the goal. And then 5 minutes into the second half, Romero comes off. And
looked like he wanted to carry on, though.
He did. He was trying to tell the bench, I want to carry on. But Ange said that at half-time he was considering taking him off because there's a bit of conflicting reports. Some say Ange said he was tight, some say tired. So I'm not sure what word he used, but either way.
After the game, he used the word fatigued.
Fatigued. So maybe he was tired. So after 5 minutes, Ange said he just had a gut feeling that it was the right decision to take him off, put Davis on, move Dragoshin to right centre-back, put Davis left centre-back and go that way. And so we end the game with Gray, Dragoshin, Davis and Udogie. And albeit Man City also brought on a few youngsters at that point, you're still looking at thinking, how are we going to hold out for a good part of 40 minutes?
And Romero was having a blinder, wasn't he?
He was brilliant. He was having such a great game, and it was such a shame that he had to go off at the point because he was having a phenomenal game, and it was really just leading that back line well. And as we pointed out, Dragoshin playing out the back wasn't too comfortable, and I actually thought defensively he was fine, but yeah, out the back he just doesn't look so comfortable with the ball at his feet, does he? He just looks a bit awkward. And when Romero goes off, who was playing some beautiful passes to Decky in between the lines and stuff like that, you're wondering, we're already having a few problems playing out the back, even with Romero there. With him off now, with that and defensively, are we going to be able to hold the City team 40 minutes? But we dropped in low block. We were very, very organised and concentrated. And apart from the chance from the corner they had late in the game, they had very little chances in that second half.
Yeah, absolutely. And that corner, by the way, that was a game-saving block from Yves Bissouma. I mean, what a block that was. Bloody hell. Right on the line, right place, right time, dived in. You've got to give him credit because if that goes in, we either go on to lose the game or it goes to penalties, and it's a lottery at that point. So you got to give massive credit to Bissouma. I want to give credit to Archie Gray as well, because I thought Archie Gray was getting cooked a little bit in the first half by Núñez. Núñez was really... I think he did him quite a few times in that first half, but I think he didn't let that kind of overawe him, did he? He stepped up in the second half, and I thought he ended the game with a lot of credit in the bank.
Yeah, and I think as he grew into the game, he was getting more confident. He did something really good late in the game as well, where City were on a counter, and he did a very clever tactical foul, a very important time, showing maybe his awareness of the situation. That was a really important moment.
And we don't do that enough, do we, as a team?
No,
like these tactical fouls.
We don't. But yesterday, I think we, if you look at the stats, I think we made like 17 fouls compared to
17 to 6, yeah.
To 6. So I think maybe yesterday was evidence of us doing a bit more tactical fouls. We've got a few yellows as well. But, Archie Gray, I thought, had a really solid second half and definitely upped his game. And I see a lot of people, he's not a right back, all this. Yes, we want him to play centre mid going in the future. But first of all, is he ready to play centre mid right now? Especially with the players that we got at our disposal in that area. Is he getting in that position? Probably not. And, he played a lot of his appearances last season were at right back, and especially the way we play our fullbacks, like they have to be very comfortable in central areas. And that's exactly what Gray is. And I think his composure on the ball, on the ball, his composure definitely helps in that position. He did get cooked a couple of times on the wing, but I still think, you got to remember, he's still very new to the team and to Premier League football and football at this level, especially playing against a team like Man City. It's obviously going to be difficult. He's going to have some difficult moments. So the guy's 18. To say this guy can't play right back, he's not a right back, and I don't want to see him there ever again, like as if he can't improve in that position. Like people need. I
liked what I saw from him in the second half. Yes, he came under pressure and got done a few times in the first half, but he learnt from it and he got a lot better in the second half. So as long as you're learning and progressing, I've got no problem with that.
Yeah, and it's always going to be a learning curve for someone like Archie. But talking about the second half, as you said, we defended very well, but I thought we actually attacked really well as well.
We created the best chances in the game by far.
Yeah, like the first chance came from Werner running through a beautiful ball from Solanke outside of the boot over the top for Werner. And at the ground, it seemed like an easier chance than maybe it was when I saw the replay back at home, because at the ground, he's obviously got oceans of space to run into, but he does have three defenders running back on him. He's got to keep his pace, he's got to keep the ball away from him, and he's got to get in a position to get the shot off with half the pitch to run into. So it's actually, and I thought he actually did really well to keep the ball and keep ahead of the defenders and get in a position. I thought the strike was actually not bad. It was a whisker wide, really unlucky, but I actually thought he did quite well in that situation. I think most, apart from maybe Son, I think most other players probably don't even get a shot off in that situation, in my opinion. So, in our squad anyway. So, credit there, but unfortunately, obviously didn't get the goal. We then had a chance from Decky, a beautiful ball from Brennan down the line to Decky, who's then similar position to where he got the assist for the first goal. But instead, this time he kind of, I think, on this occasion, I think in the first half, Ruben Diaz came across, so he just played the ball across. This time, Diaz held his position, waiting for the ball. So Decky just decided, I'm just going to take this on myself. And, good effort, but forced a good save out of Ortega. Could he have, watching the replay, could he have laid off to Solanke?
Yeah,
I think Solanke got a run on his defender, so he probably could have. But I understand why he took the shot, because they left him for the free shot. And if they're going to leave you, then there's always I think it's not always a bad option.
But it was a hard angle to score from, though.
It's difficult. Well, wasn't for someone like Decky, it wasn't the most difficult. I think Werner was marked, so I don't think you can go for Werner. Solanke was marked, but he did get a run on him.
I felt like Ortega always had that covered, that shot.
Depends how good the shot is, and the shot wasn't perfect. But I don't think it was the worst option to shoot from there. They left him to shoot. If you're going to leave someone, then sometimes you're going to have to take the shot to show that they can't leave you. So next time they come across,
I guess if you're going to work on like percentages, it was probably a higher percentage chance of us scoring if he does play it to the back post with Solanke.
Yeah. Then we had another chance, this one from Brennan. This one started from Timo on the left-hand side. He gets down the left, threatening, gets the ball across. Decky just misses it, but it falls to Brennan on the back post. He then gets a shot across the face of goal. Ortega makes another good save, fingertipped it wide. And then Richarlison comes on, and Gavardio plays a sloppy throw straight through to Richarlison. He has to take it first time, because I think Ruben Diaz is putting a slide challenge in, or Rico Lewis, one of the defenders, is getting a slide challenge in, so he takes it first time. But the area he was in, was on a plate for him. He just has to pick out a corner, and it's a weak finish on his left foot, and he just hits it straight out Ortega. It's just a poor strike. It wasn't even like a good effort, and that'll be frustrating for him. But I actually thought Rishi, I know maybe people are focusing on that miss, and that's why people I see on social media saying he didn't have a good cameo because of that miss. But I actually thought he did a really good job for the team when he came on.
I mean, if you're judging his 3 performances since coming back, this was head and shoulders above those 2 performances prior to this game. I thought he's looked rusty. He's looked not really at it in these opening 2 games that he's played. But yesterday, I thought he was aggressive. Hold-up play was brilliant. He was winning the ball back. He was taking on his man as well and beating them. So apart from that finish, I think everything else he did was really good. I was really happy. I mean, we were speaking about it in the stands, weren't we? About how impressive Rishi actually was.
His touch looked just a bit sharper. There was that moment on the left wing. He just I don't know if it was a number, but he slides it past, I think it was Rico Lewis, really impressively, and gets down the left. I thought he was quite threatening down the left-hand side, as much as he didn't really do anything when it comes to crosses or shots or anything. But he was just getting in good positions. He was being a threat. He was being a nuisance. Good hold-up play, winning fouls in certain situations as well. And I thought defensively did a great job just coming back, helping out Udogie as well when they were getting down, especially when Bernardo Silva came on. He did a really good job just mucking in for the team. So I thought it was a really good cameo from Richie.
Yeah, it's kind of just like exactly what we needed at that moment in the game. 2-1 up, trying to close it off, and Richie came on, and he was just a real handful to deal with for those Man City players. But we need to talk about Bentancur, man, because Bentancur was brilliant yesterday. I really believe that. It was the midfield yesterday, I think, that stood us ahead of Man City yesterday. When you're talking about Bentancur, Bissouma coming on for the second half, Pape Matar Sarr, and Dejan Kulusevski. Bentancur, Sarr, Bissouma and Kulusevski ran their socks off for the team last night, and they just, all of them, showed real quality, didn't they?
And that was the key area, because obviously that's the area. They got McAtee there, they got O'Reilly there, and we can dominate that area as much as they're going to have possession. If we can win possession in good key areas in the middle and spring on them, which is what we did, then that's going to be a good way forward. And that's exactly what happened. And I thought, as you say, I thought Bentancur so disciplined. I thought getting such great positions, positionally, defensively, to make sure that Man City were not getting any joy centrally. The only joy they did get was out wide, because centrally they just couldn't play through us. Because Bentancur's position, Sarr as well, obviously he got booked, so Bissouma came on. I've seen a bit of conflicting reaction to Bissouma's performance. I thought he played really well in general, but there is a case to say could he have been sent off, and maybe he was a bit lucky.
Yeah, I think that was a case to say Sarr could have even been sent off as well in that first half.
Sarr as well, because he was making a lot of fouls, especially Bissouma made quite a dodgy foul on a yellow. The referee waved play on, and definitely gave Bissouma a last warning. So a bit lucky on that occasion, but I did think having him there next to Bentancur really helped solidify that middle, and he was winning the ball in such great areas as well. And what I like about Bissouma and Bentancur a lot of times, when they win the ball in those tight areas in the middle, they win the ball on the edge of the box. They don't just smack it clear like maybe other players in that position might do. They try to get it to a position where we can actually maneuver the ball forward, and that takes a lot of composure, and that takes a lot of presence of mind, and that's what they're very good at, and that's what those kind of players give you, because we know that Bentancur and Bissouma are very good in those tight areas. And when when the opposition are coming on you and they're bearing down on you, and look, you're obviously on the back foot, they're very good at winning the ball back, but not just smacking it clear, but actually looking for a Solanke or one of the wingers, and actually having the technical ability to pull that off, and that takes a lot of composure to do. Yeah,
it does. And the thing is about the Bissouma and Sarr situation, like, whatever you want to say about their performances, I personally believe they had a good performance, but I have seen some conflicting reports on Bissouma, as you have. But both of them were involved in match-defining actions in the game. Sarr scores the winning goal with the highest amount of quality, and Bissouma with that goal line save literally on the goal line. It was like a very high percentage that was going to go in. So you got to give them respect, and you got to give them the credit that they deserve for coming up with those actions within the game.
But in terms of the overall, obviously, we got that clearance off the line from Bissouma, brilliant. We end up winning the game 2-1, but what was really great yesterday was...
And by the way, for that corner where Bissouma had to do, Vicario didn't cover himself with much glory, did he?
I've watched it back so many times, and I still don't know what he's doing. I honestly have no clue. I actually thought Vicario did really well in general yesterday. I thought his distribution was brilliant. I thought some of his passing into Solanke and Udogie was really, really great, and it relieved a lot of the pressure off us. But in that moment, I'm not sure.
Did he have a save to make in the game?
I think he made one save. Did he? I think maybe it was an easy save. Yeah, from Nunes. It was straight at him. So it was, in terms of defensively, I think it goes to show how well we defended. But I think the overall picture of yesterday, why it was so pleasing, I think, for a lot of Tottenham fans, is because we kind of won in a different way than we are used to winning.
Just before you get into it, let's bring up the stats. If you bring up the phone, just show you how different this was to every other game that we've pretty much played this season. So 68% possession, 32% possession for us.
You look at the average positions.
Yeah, that's it. If you look at the average position as well from Spurs, look how deep we are.
Yeah,
I've never seen Romero and Dragoshin so deep before on the pitch, and it got me thinking, like, was this an instruction from Ange? Was this by design, or was it because how good Man City actually are on the ball?
Yeah, I don't know if it was designed, but I think maybe the team adapted to the situation. I think Spurs always tried to play their football. I remember it happened a few times when under Pochettino. I remember like when we played like Madrid in the Champions League when we beat them, and we won the game 3-1, and we were playing a lot more counter-attacking, deeper football on that day compared to how we usually play, like high pressing and stuff. And Poch was asked about it after the game. He's like, was that a specific tactic, or did you team adjust? He said, no, that's just what Madrid force you to do sometimes, and sometimes you got to adapt to the situation. And the team dropped deeper, but I never asked them to. That was just how the team adapted, and I think maybe that was the case yesterday, and I think Andrew will be pleased with that, because I thought we did the fundamentals defensively much better than. I think that's probably one of the best performances I've seen from us from a defensive point of view, when we're actually concentrating on our defending and in our rest defense. Because I've said it so many times, our rest defense, so like under Ange, is just really poor. And it's atrocious a lot of the time. And a lot of the time, we just rather not being in those situations enough. That's why we don't concede as many, or we restrict the chances of the opposition sometimes, because we just dominate the ball so much. We don't actually have to have a rest defence a lot. But yesterday, we did have to have a rest defence for a lot of that game, and we did it really effectively. 2 defensive mids there. We had the back 4 with Davis and Dragoshin at centre back, who aren't our best defenders, and they still were just did really effective job just keeping Man City at bay, making sure they got nothing down through the centre. And if they had to get any joy, it was going to be through crosses. And if you're crossing the ball, with all due respect to people like Foden and people like that up front, you're going to probably back Dragoshin and Davis to get the better of them, especially aerially, and that's exactly what happened. So we did have to win in a much more different fashion. We had to play a different style of play yesterday. It was a bit of an ugly win at times yesterday. But I think Andrew will be pleased with that, because especially after the defeat against Palace, where we didn't fight properly potentially, and it was we didn't show the other sides of our game. I think we did do that yesterday. Maybe this side is learning. You think of go back to the Brighton game when we were 2-0 up, and then second half we got completely done by the opposition. And maybe if we would have brought in on someone to partner Basuma in that game, it could have been very different. If we played like we did in the second half yesterday against Brighton, maybe that result would have been very different. So maybe Ange is learning, maybe he's adapting. All these things, like he only has one style of play and all this stuff, maybe he's showing a different side to us.
Yeah, I really hope so. But I think when you're looking at the progression of Spurs and the fallout of the Crystal Palace game, the Brighton game, this and that, I mean, it just carries on a similar theme. Like we're making our home stadium to a bit of a fortress. We really are. We're knocking teams away. I mean, apart from the Arsenal game, which I still believe that we deserved a little bit more out of it than we actually got, or maybe we didn't deserve, but maybe Arsenal didn't deserve as much out of it as they got. So if you put that game to one side, we've battered every other team that have come here, and now we've beaten a Man City side in the Cup. So I believe that we are making this place into a fortress. For me, where the question lies and where the question is the mentality away from home. And we need to see us make a step in the right direction away from home on a consistent basis. And then I think you can really say that this team is on the massive upward trajectory.
Well, look, you can't just take home games for a given, and we were winning these home games and winning them impressively. And that's something to, I think we need to give praise to the team for. And I think that in general, even the way we are winning at home does show progression, in my opinion, and shows an upward trajectory. The away form, obviously, is a bit more difficult to handle, and teams have different kind of motivations, and sometimes teams are more up for it and all this kind of stuff, and that's something we've got to get right. But it's as much, when I look at the performances and stuff away from home, Palace in second half against Brighton aside, I think in general, You know, it's not been too bad as much as we haven't gotten the results that we would have liked. I don't think the performances are awful. So I think that's still something that obviously needs a lot of work, but I do think it's also something that I can see where we're heading away from home, and we just need to start getting more consistent results, and we just need to start turning up a bit more, because sometimes this season we're just a bit too weak and a bit too easy to play against. And obviously Ange has to sort that out, and obviously until that happens, there's people going to be on his back about the away form for sure. But as long as we're winning these games at home, that's still a big positive.
Yeah, look, I'm very happy with the away form, and I give credit to Ange for creating the kind of atmosphere at home where, you know, I feel like we can give anyone a game. I think we can beat anyone at our stadium now. That's how much of a credit and a testament to Ange of how he's brought us up in this in our home stadium back in N17. It's just we need to start seeing. Obviously, we're not going to start seeing as dominant performances or as dominant results at home as we are away, because that's just the nature of how Spurs have always been. We've always been a much stronger home team than we are away team. But we need to see better results away from home. Like 4 wins in the last 12 months is clearly nowhere near where we should be. So, yes, performances in the early part of the season away from home did get a bit better. You know, Newcastle was a good performance. Leicester, we should have got more out of the game. But these last 2 performances, second half against Brighton and the Crystal Palace game, you know, it makes a lot of people question, and quite rightly so, because they were nowhere near good enough.
Until it improves, people will still question.
Yeah. So I don't doubt in my mind that, I keep saying this, that Ange is the right man for the job, because I see progression. I see Spurs going on an upwards tick, but when these results and then when these performances come about, it just makes you very frustrated, doesn't it? And we need to see improvement. So I'm very happy that we beat Man City yesterday. I'm liking, on a general basis, how the team are playing this season. I've seen a lot of positives as from this season as opposed to last season. So we just need to keep going, and we need to keep making these improvements, and I believe we will get the results will start coming away from home. But how Spursy can you get? How Spursy can you get? We on the weekend we lose to a team that haven't won all season, and then last night we beat a team that haven't lost all season. Like, can you get more Spursy than that?
The most Spurs thing I think I've ever known. And how I love it. People are posting, and people have been posting on social media, like, just like how Spursy this is. Like, under Conte, we lost to Burnley, then beat Man City. Under like Redknapp, we beat AC Milan. The next game we lose away at Blackpool. Like, it's just so Spurs. Last season, you know, beat Villa 4-0. Next game we lose to Fulham 3-0.
Yeah.
Like, it's just classic Tottenham. Whenever I think even when we beat Inter Milan, or taxi from Icon, next game we lose 4-2 to Bolton. Like, that is just, as Mourinho would call it, football heritage. That's football heritage.
Well, Ange is here to dispel that football heritage and to bring on a new heritage here to Tottenham Hotspur.
Well, he hasn't dispelled it yet.
Not yet, not yet.
That's exactly what's happened. But yeah, I mean, it's just something that every time we have a great result, it's always followed up by something bad, and vice versa. Every time at our lowest, for example, 2-0 Portsmouth in the FA Cup semi-final, we follow up by beating Chelsea and Arsenal back-to-back.
Yeah.
It's just Tottenham. That is just like, that's why you just can never know what you're getting with this club, because whenever you're at your highest, you know you're going to come crashing down. Whenever you're lowest, you always get something that's going to give you a pick-me-up straight away.
Yeah.
It always happens that way.
Well, having said that, you know, massive win against Manchester City. Big game on the weekend, isn't it? Villa at home. With a few injuries. Van der Ven's probably going to be out. We don't know about Romero, Timo. After such a strong wing, I want to say, like I just said it a few minutes ago, you know, I back us to beat anyone at home. But just because of the Spursy factor of us beating Man City, we just have to go there and beat them, because we can't afford to go any further down than them in the table, because there's a bit of a gap appearing.
Well, it's 5 points at the moment, I think.
So if it goes 8, I mean, it's not a great situation.
No, it's not great. I still think we could overcome 8 points, but 8 points is still a significant gap, and you don't want it to get that much. But look, Villa, as much I think Villa are a really good team, and it's not going to be easy. The games that we've had against Villa under Ange, and when we've gone head-to-head with Unai, I think we've been the better side on both occasions. I know they beat us at our stadium last year, 2-1, but that game should have and could have gone in a very different direction, and we had a much depleted team as well. And we should have won that game. We should have been 3-0 up by half-time, but, you know, on classic Spurs, we missed a bunch of chances, and they scored right on the stroke of half-time to make it 1-1, and then they went on and won the second half. But Villa Park, we played them, and we battered them 4-0, and that was a very impressive display, and that was, that was a really, really one of our best performances under Ange, and that showed what we can do against Villa. So, as much as Villa are going to be a strong team, don't get me wrong, I'm not taking them lightly whatsoever. I think they're a really, really good team and definitely big rivals for us when it comes to top four for sure. I think them coming to our stadium, especially with a much better team than we had last year, I think we can beat them. I do really think we can beat them.
Yeah, I mean, look, like I said before, I back us against anyone at home. But the reality is that they're going to be more rested than us because they played a completely changed 11 yesterday, went out the cup to Crystal Palace. But anyway, this ain't a Villa preview. We're going to get into that tomorrow. But that is